Hey guys, Greg McDaniel here. Welcome to another edition of Real Estate Uncensored. I am super excited to be here. We've got an amazing guest. And the greatest thing about this thing, Matt Johnson, my co host, has relinquished the reins to me. And I'm sure he is up in the airplane right now, pacing up and down the aisleways, burning a hole through that bottom of that plane, humming and hoeing, making sure that Greg does not crash the podcast and he does not say something super offensive and offend everybody in the entire world. And he actually makes it through the entire program. So, Matt, when you watch this, buddy, we did it. So, hey, guys, I want to do a couple of quick shout outs to Viral Marketing. Viral Marketing provides us with an amazing guest like we're going to have today. A few bucks to get the show going. They are a phenomenal organization. I use them. Justin uses them. You guys need to check them out if you guys have any want, need, or desire to do some video marketing. I just did some videos with them this morning with my coach, so I highly recommend them. Also, Patreon. If you guys want to help support the show, go to Patreon and you can donate a few bucks to the show if you want to keep the gals, who are working in the back, keeping food on their tables. No. Well, hey, guys, I'm just kidding around. We're playing. We're going to have a good time. Justin Woodall is going to be our guest today. And so, Justin, hey, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks.
Hey, we are extremely excited to have him on, guys. He is an incredibly successful agent. He did over 150 deals last year. And he's on track to do even more this year. But the one thing that I'm really excited about, Justin, is the fact that what you really specialize in is expired listings, but most importantly is super service to your clients. Is that not right?
Yeah. I mean, customer service and just kind of creating raving fans. I mean, that's kind of what we shoot for, and we actually, after a closing, we send out a little survey, would you refer us to your friends? What's good or what's bad? I mean, we really want that feedback because we're always striving. We know if we do a good job for our clients, then they're going to talk about us. They're going to refer us. And that's what we want. I mean, those are the best kind of clients to have is the ones that come directly from friends and family member of past clients. So
absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, having that referral, that third party, and, endorsement is one of the biggest and best things you can ever get.
Absolutely.
That actually leads us into it. We got a question from Sam up in Alberta. He's reading, I'm a newer agent and I've been in the business for about 3 years and I've been approached by multiple different teams. And I wanted to know, is it a good idea to join a team or continue to work on my own? So, Justin, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, that's a kind of a wide open question, I guess. And I would want to have more. We need to have a little more information from Sam on kind of what his current production is and what he's doing. I mean, if he's killing it on his own, then he may be fine to stay on his own. If he's struggling a little bit or feels like, hey, I know I've got potential, I just need more business. For somebody like that to connect with a team that's really doing a lead generation at a high level, that is really that can provide some support for him, because what I've learned, I've got staff that support my buyer's agents. They support me. And when you've got support from staff, then you're able to get out and do a lot more transactions and a lot more sales and really serve your clients at a higher level. So, if so it's kind of, it's a little bit of a loaded question, but if he's, if he's having doubts that he's not where he wants to be on his own, then yeah, I mean, I think he might do well to look into a team, but find a team that's really going to provide value, that's really going to be able to serve him, because most likely he's going to give up part of that commission when he goes on a team that, the team's going to pay a lower split, most likely. Volume, doing more deals, it can make sense. It's a win-win. And that's what we always strive for. My team is a win-win between myself and the buyer's agents.
I couldn't agree with you more. I have a lot of people that come up to me, giving them the trainer here at J. Rockcliffe, and they're always like, Greg, should I join a team or should I do it on my own? I'm a new agent. I said, well, you know what you should really do is you should go off on your own for a minimum of 12 months, really kind of figure out and understand if you can do this on your own. If you can do it on your own, like you just said, there's no reason to join a team. I mean, get some admin, get some people on your side that you can then, delegate the different tasks to. But why split the money with someone else if they're not going to bring value to you? And they generally, say they agree with me. And actually, a gal by the name of Sarah, she was here in Northern Cal, but she and her husband moved back down to Southern California, where they're from. She just emailed me on Facebook today, or sent a Facebook message today and said, hey, Greg, thanks so much for supporting me when I was up there. Thanks for all this, that, and another thing. You were right. I didn't need to join the team. I found my niche and everything else. And finding your niche is a very important thing to do. You have to understand what you're good at. And I know for myself, me and paperwork do not get along. Oh, God almighty, no. So like you, I have a team as well. And Eileen, the steel trap, who's not here today, she generally handles all of that stuff. So that dovetails perfectly into one of our first questions I have for you, the meat and potatoes of what we're going to get into today. You know what, Justin, what are a few things that you and your team are exceptionally good at? Because you guys are obviously successful. You did 150 deals last year. What are some of the attributes that people that are watching this should take and write down and then implement into their teams or their business?
Well, I mean, I think the key to, getting to a place where you can do that many deals and do them well is, you got to have systems. I mean, systems is a big piece of it. And so we're always trying to build other systems, checklists, just ways of doing things that, and make it a repeatable process. So whenever I set a listing appointment, it's a process. I go online, we have a Google form that we use. I fill in the client's name, address, details, source them, where they came from, when the meeting time is. That goes to Emily. She's my staff, the listing coordinator. She pulls up the, all the information I need, puts a file together for me, and then I'm able to take it from there. So it's being systematic about that. And then I know where to find that file before I go out on that listing appointment. So that's just one thing. Transaction management is the same way. So it's building systems in your business, because we do the same, every deal is different, but we kind of do the same processes every time. So systems is huge to get to that level. You talked about customer service earlier. That's huge for us. One of our core values, I'm looking up here, is to put the client's needs ahead of our own and seek to serve them. Even if it means we don't make a sale or, whatever, we put them first. And I think by putting them first, that even if it means, hey, this year is not the right time for you to sell your house, you may need to wait, and most of the time that business will come back next year, and you'll get some referrals between now and next year. So we really try to look at the client's needs and goals and figure out how within our framework we can help them meet their goals.
You said something there really, really important, something that we do here on our team as well, is the fact that you're telling me that you're going out there and you're client-minded, not commission-minded. And that's something that a lot of agents do not understand. They're only hunting down their check. They have to get paid. They have a bill to make, but you put it in the systems. You built your business up to the point where business is going to be coming around, next year, next month, tomorrow. It doesn't matter, because you have been able to build up your backlog. The other thing that I really liked about what you just said is the fact that, we tell people, just like you, it's not the right time to move, or it's not the right time to buy. And when people actually get that, and they're like, oh my God, what do you mean it's not the right time to buy, not the right time to sell? It's because you're client minded. You want to go out there and serve these folks, because at the end of the day, this is a huge decision for them, right?
Right.
And it's a big financial obligation. You got to make sure it's the best move for them.
And it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, I truly believe, I've heard people say, an agent has commission breath, and it's almost like, and I truly believe a client can tell if you're more concerned about yourself and your paycheck and your commission than you are about them. They sense it, they can pick up on it, and it works against you. And you just have to know that when you do the right things, when you put the clients first and you serve them, that everything else is going to work out just fine.
100%, man. It's like desperation is a stinky cologne. When you're chasing that hot chick and you're like all up on her, just like, hey baby, what's up? And you're like, hey, you want to talk? Want to hang out? Want to do this? Want to that? And she's like, dude, piss off, you freaking creep. Agents.
You can't chase it. You got to attract it. Yeah.
I have so many things to say, which I'm not going to say. So tell me a little bit about your team, kind of your size, your makeup. You talked about systems. What were the systematic moves when you're building your team? When you're on your own, who was your first, second, how is that structured? Because every team is structured differently, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I can kind of just go back in history a little bit. The first hire was just my assistant, and he was just kind of everything admin. And it was just, I went from being a solo agent to hiring the first assistant. And there may be a lot of people kind of in that boat right now, but let that assistant do everything admin, that means you've got that much more time freed up every day, every week, every month to be out working with more clients. And so when you make that first assistant hire, don't go fishing, don't go play golf, take the time to go out and get more business. And that seems to be the biggest fear that so many agents have. Well, how am I going to be able to pay this person? Can I really afford to hire an assistant? Well, as long as you take all the extra time you've got on your hands to go out and work and generate more deals and do more lead generation, then you're going to be making enough money to pay that assistant, and you don't have to worry about it.
That's so true, because the majority of the time what agents do is their minds shut off because they think, oh, I got all this extra time, I'm going to go to I'm going to go to the city, I'm going to go fishing, like you're saying. You're like, no, dipshit. That means you go double down on what you were doing before.
Exactly.
Go big or go home. Keep going. Okay, so go ahead.
And so your income starts to rise, so you're able to pay that person, and then you'll get to a place where you're doing more clients, and those clients are referring more people who are referring more people, and it grows. And I'm at Keller Williams, but the broker here, and I fought him on this. I had one assistant. I said, I need a buyer's agent. He says, no, you need a second assistant. And I said, I don't want to pay another person. I don't want a commission salesperson. I need a buyer's agent. He said, no, you need a second assistant. He said, you need to do that and be absolutely maxed out yourself with the income producing activities, which is working directly with clients, buying and selling real estate, before you go hire a buyer's agent. And I fought him on it, but it turns out he was right. And it's in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That's the steps is two assistants before you get into the buyer's agents. And so we kind of had that listing coordinator and transaction management type role, and both handling the admin stuff. And so I was literally at that point able to work with a lot more buyers and a lot more sellers on my own. And I think that year, I had a buyer's agent do just a handful of deals, but I think I did around 87 deals by myself with just two assistants that year. And so then we brought in the buyer's agents. And
now, buyer's agents, did you bring multiple in at one time, or did you go step?
No, I brought one at the time. And what I found there was that it's hard buyer's agents don't like to lead generate.
No,
they like to show property. They like to be with people. They like to look at houses, but they don't like to get on the phone and make phone calls. They don't like to do follow-up. They don't like to do, they don't like to cold call leads that come in on Zillow or Boomtown, Commissions Inc. They don't like to call those people. They'll take sign calls, and they like to go out and meet people and show property. So I found, and I do a lot of online lead generation, which, as you know, if you do any of that, you have to really work those leads, or it doesn't make sense. And so, you just waste those leads if you don't work them. And so the buyer's agents weren't working them. And so I went through a few, had a couple of buyer's agents, didn't pan out. They were gone. Got a good one who was doing great when he was with people, but he didn't want to do the follow-up. And I just learned that seemed to be a trend. And I know, I've talked with team leaders all over, and some of them say, well, then they can't be on my team if they don't do it. Part of my thought is if they're willing to lead generate, they may not need to be on a team sometimes. They may be able to get out and get their own business. But so long and the short of that is I ended up hiring a girl to kind of be a customer service, inside sales type person. And so we use a database, and we've got leads that have come in years ago that still are looking at houses. They're going to buy one day, but they're not ready yet. And so we're incubating leads for months and months and years, even sometimes. And then when they come back around, they work with us because they've been talking to us for the last 6 months or 12 months or 18 months. Mm-hmm. So by having a person dedicated to that, and so I pay her a base plus bonus to do that. And so I hired her. So now the team is, she's kind of half admin, half sales, I guess. Got the 2 admin, and I've got 3 buyer's agents. I'm still handling listings. At some point soon, I will hire a listing partner, and we'll continue to grow.
That is fantastic information. I'll tell you something. The what you do with the 2 assistants is critical, because there's a guy named Bob Wolf. He's in Southern California. I'm no joke, man. He doesn't have anyone except for him on the team. Plus he has 4 assistants. Now, when I walk into this man's office, he's on his knees and hands around his desk with paper. He has files everywhere. He's not on his desk, like everywhere, on tables, chairs, floor, desk. He's running around in his $2,000, $3,000 seat on his knees, and his assistants are just running, man. But it's the best way to do it, because you don't have to go out and have to, harangue or corral any of those damn buyer's agents that want to go lollygagging off and doing something. These people are getting paid. And then when you got to that,
Mm-hmm.
got to that part where you had to jump off and really start going for it, and get the additional buyer's agents, you were able to go through a few, like you said, but you're also able to really vet out who you wanted to have on your team.
Right.
The other thing I love what you said is the fact that you recognize the fact that a lot of real estate agents just suck at follow-up, flat out. They do. I mean, I suck at
Mm-hmm.
follow-up, but you hired an ISA inside sales gal and she's just crushing it for you. I just did the same thing. I'm hiring a guy who's going to be doing the same thing for us here. Tell me some of the qualities that you looked for in that ISA person.
If you're familiar with a disc assessment, you've got to have, I think you've got to have somebody that's got some D, that's got some drive,
Mm-hmm.
that's got some ambition. And if you structure their pay so that they are incentivized for setting appointments and incentivized for doing it, then it kind of gives them something to shoot for. And so she knows that, for every appointment she sets, she gets a bonus, and for each one of those appointments that close, she gets another bonus. So, for her, she knows the more she can produce, the better she gets paid. And she's just kind of got that natural drive anyway. So I think that's really what you got to look for. Somebody that's got the drive to do it, but then also the patience and the people skills to say, hey, I can get in there and get on the phone and spend hours every day on the phone following up and calling people that sometimes don't necessarily even want to talk to me.
Very
Most of them are warm follow-ups because they've signed in on something on our site for us to call them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have reached out to us in a way, but that doesn't always mean that they are necessarily looking for a phone call. But yeah, she's doing a great job. And then she kind of helps to manage the buyer's agents and keep up with what they're, they met with somebody yesterday. What was the outcome of that appointment? Did they sign a buyer brokerage? Are they not qualified? What was the deal?
Mm-hmm.
And she's able to kind of keep track and keep them on their toes as well. So she helps me with that.
That is awesome. Eileen, she does the same thing for us. She's always haranguing me to like, Greg, did you call this one? Did you follow up with this one? Did you do this? Did you do that? And without that type of back end support and just management of time and everything else, I would be screwed. But I mean, when you're building your team, here's a question that I've been wanting to ask you is, what are some of the biggest obstacles? I know you came up a bunch against a lot of them as you were building your team, but what are some of the biggest obstacles that you came up against when you're building your business, building your team, the whole 9 yards?
I guess I'm learning how to hire people. I think learning how to hire people and hire the right people is a skill that's kind of hard to develop. And if you've not done it, then you don't have a clue, honestly. And so I've made some bad hires. I feel like I've gotten better at it. And so what it's done is I have become a lot more selective in who I bring onto my team, because I've learned that if you get the right culture fit, you get the right fit for the role on the team. You got to get the right person on the bus and in the right seat on the bus. Yep. And those are the two things that you look for. And I've just learned that that's huge, because if you make a mistake, it's a lot harder to correct that mistake. And then you're kind of stuck for a while, because you're trying to make, fit a square peg in a round hole, or whatever you want to call it. And you're not as efficient. You just don't run as good, as smoothly as you could. Whereas if you take a little more time to hire and get the right person, it works a lot better and works a lot smoother. And then they're loving their job. They like it. They're enjoying it. They're thriving in it. They're doing a good job. And yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest things one of the hardest things to learn. And even, I'm still improving on that skill, but we've become very selective on who we hire on my team.
Justin, we do the same thing on our team and other companies I've been a part of. I know you probably did this, because I did this, is that I always wanted to go hire like a friend or a close somebody that they're like, oh, you need a job? Oh man, I'll help you out here. Jump in this seat right over here. And then they completely foobar it. And you're like, damn it, dude, what is your issue? And they're like, well, I told you didn't like to do paperwork. I'm like, I hired you as an assistant. What did you think you were going to go do? And I've learned that, and that's one of the roles that our team has done. We've melded into our roles. We know what we're all good at. And do you use you use the DISC profile when you're hiring someone prior to that, prior to bringing them on?
Absolutely. We send them a DISC profile or a DISC assessment to complete before we ever even bring them in and talk to them. And then, I've been to Recruit Select, so I don't do that format exactly, but I use a lot of the components of that. And we interview somebody. Before we hire somebody, we've probably met with them 4, 5, 6 times, maybe even, and it's interesting. I was talking to a girl one time, and it's funny how the different candidates will respond to that. Some of them get frustrated because they're like, man, you've met with me 4 times. What else is there? But honestly, it's for their benefit too, because if they get on this team and they're in the wrong role or wrong fit, they're going to be frustrated too. So and whereas half the companies out there, they meet with them one time and they're hired. And I've just learned you can't do that. We almost made a hire, I guess, a few weeks ago, and the longer we talked and the more we talked to references, we just kind of started getting some bad vibes and finding out some new things, and just said, what, we need to, this probably isn't going to quite be right, but had we, and we like this person a lot. So had we jumped the gun early on, we would have made a big mistake. So I just think you got to really take your time and really get to know somebody and really do your digging when you're hiring.
I couldn't agree more. We hired this dumbass a while back, and dude, he could not find his way out of a paper bag with a flashlight. Okay.
Yeah.
Just an absolute buffoon. And dude, he ended up costing us $800 because we had to, long story, but I couldn't agree with you more. Vet them out hardcore. That also kind of leads into, in the last 5 or 10 years, you've been doing this for quite a while now. There's got to be some things that you wish you had known back when you got going, right? We're talking about hiring, you're talking about different marketplaces, looking at turnover rates, working with buyers, working with sellers. Again, you talked about, starting with the second assistant. Help me understand and walk me through a couple of those things. Let's pick 3 things or 4 things that you wish you had known back when you started into this business.
I think one would just be to know what's possible. The average agent sells 10, 12 homes a year, if that many, 8 or 10,
Really?
is what the average agent sells. And so, I think if you look at NAR stats, it's like 8 or 10 homes a year is what the average, because you got so many, they're doing it part-time and different things. But, so you look at that and you think, well, I sold 20 homes, I'm doing great, but to really see what's possible and to kind of have that time to say, well, why do I stop at 20 deals?
Justin, we're getting some audio interference on your side. Are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Check your plugins really quickly. I'm getting some static feedback, and you're wobbling in and out on me.
Okay, I don't know. Everything's plugged in. Seems to be.
A little bit better there. Okay, you sound much better now. Sorry about that.
Okay, no, that's okay. That's okay. Kind of lost my train of thought.
Oh, you're back. You're back clear, man. This is good stuff. So
good.
So it's the things that you were going to try to avoid in your past, and you were talking about, I think, when you're just jumping off into real estate.
Yeah. So just kind of seeing what's possible, and not being content to sell, to say, hey, I sold 25 homes, I did good, or not to stop there, to continue to grow and continue to achieve and to be all you can be. And there's agents out there with teams that are doing several hundred homes or 1,000 transactions a year. So just knowing what's possible and having your mind expanded and saying, you know what, it can be done because somebody else is doing it. And I think it took me a little while to figure out, what really is possible.
The world literally is, everything you could ever want is there. And I've found, like when it comes to being possible, people don't push themselves enough. They don't go to that level of like, I can make blank, because their self-limiting beliefs here are keeping them tied to here.
Right.
When in reality, they can go to here.
Right.
And it's about goal setting. Do you make your team and get your team to set goals? Yeah,
we do.
And do you guys review them on a consistent basis? And do you go back at the end of the year and look at them and kind of see where that all is?
We do. We try to meet quarterly. And actually, one thing we just started doing this year, Greg, that's working excellent. We kind of fell into this by default, but towards the end of last year, we were behind our goal. And I said, you know what, we're going to do a push. And so we put a thermometer on the wall and just had notches on it. And we said, this is the goal, and I don't remember what it was. We had a prize if we hit the goal at the end of the year, by December 31st. And we didn't quite hit it, but we got real close. And so the last couple of, I guess about the last 10 weeks of the year, we crushed it at the end of the year in the winter.
Awesome.
And so I said, you know what, there's something to that. And I said, this year we're going to set goals every single month as a team for the buyer's agents. It's hanging in their office to do for a certain amount of buyer transactions every single month. So we're breaking it down for them to have something to focus on every single month. you think about a big goal of 200, 250 homes. That's a big number. It's hard to get your mind around. But if you break it down and say, well, we want to sell 20 a month, that's a little easier to think about. 20 a month, 5 a week, and it doesn't sound as challenging or as difficult. Your mind is able to get around that a little bit better. So we're actually, each month we got a target, and they're tracking it, and we get halfway through the month. Hey, we're not halfway through the thermometer. Y'all got to get on it. And that happened last month, and it was like March 20th, and we were, barely halfway. And I said, we got to hit the goal, and we were, the goal was 15 for the buy on the buy side, and we ended up with 14. So we almost hit it. But on March 20th, I think we may have had like 6 deals or 7.
Oh my God.
So we were able to, just watching that and focusing on it, able to boost it up.
So why, I'm going to ask the obvious question here. So if you guys have time and time again, your buyer's agents, and they see the higher production when they press the pedal to the metal, what's stopping them from doing it from day one?
I don't know.
If you could just crush it out of the door and do double your, I mean, if you went from the 20th and you added in all those extra deals, but you waited 20 days to do 6 deals, I mean, doesn't it make logical sense to just kick them right in the ass and be like, dude, you guys are killers. You guys are amazing in what you do. Get out the damn door and start making calls, doors, whatever they're doing. Yeah. Follow-ups. I mean, why wouldn't they want to? Is there an incentive for them to do this? They're going to make more money.
I don't know. It's Greg. It's crazy how it works. It just seems like when I guess if you're running a marathon or half marathon or whatever, and you got just a little bit left, you're like, I'm going to make it. And you just push yourself, it just makes you, or the day before you go on vacation, how productive are you that day? It's because you're like, hey, 5 o'clock, I'm out of here. You're just, it seems like those days you're just more productive than ever. So I think by having little systems like this in place, it kind of forces you to be more productive and to try harder. So
right. It's like if you gained a bunch of weight over the holidays because your fat ass was sitting around eating and drinking and not working out and everything else, then oh crap, it's bikini season. I got to get my chubby pasty ass into shape. And then you do the diet, do the tanning, do the running, do double workouts, and you're like, oh, whew, I made it. I don't look like a beached whale. This is amazing. Yeah. But if you could steadily grow that and continually grow that, and hey, I'm just as at fault about this as your agents are at times. I know that on our team, if we can make outbounds and leave about 1,000 voice messages a day throughout, combined on the whole team, that I guarantee you we'll get 1 to 2 solid seller leads per day. But do I do it every day, or the team do it every day? No. Why not? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I mean, I wish we had a magic pill. Right?
And that's what, I don't understand exactly how it works. I just know it works. It's just it's having that mindset of sprints. You're gonna sprint hard for a little bit, and then you're gonna stop, and you're gonna reevaluate, and you're gonna sprint hard again. It just seems to work. Like I said, I don't understand the fundamentals, but it works.
So let's talk about systems here really quickly. What systems do you have in place to make sure that these folks are doing what they need to be doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to achieve the goals of the team?
Okay. We meet every single month. Towards the beginning of like the first Tuesday of each month, we meet individual, as a team. We'll usually do, some kind of breakfast and just meet, and we kind of talk about any issues that we've encountered that month that we all need to talk about as a whole, any upcoming plans, anything that's going on. I give little gift cards out for, whoever signed the most buyer brokerages, whoever closed the most deals that month, they get a little prize for that. Mm-hmm. And then also every morning we do what we call a daily huddle, and we all get on a conference call for about 10, 15, 20 minutes at most. And we talk about, hey, I'll tell them about new listings I've got coming down the line. They tell me about, hey, I've got this buyer. Here's what they're looking for. I haven't been able to find it for them. Or hey, I'm almost got this under contract. It's just kind of a short time frame. Every morning we can just all kind of get on the same page, so we all know what each other has going on, and it helps us to work as one cohesive unit as opposed to being scattered everywhere.
And that's probably the most important thing. I mean, you can have systems coming out of your ears, but if you're not working as a single unit, you're going to have a major issue.
Right.
A lot of the teams that I see here in our area, they operate not as a single unit most of the time. Usually they're independent agents, and I don't see them doing as well as they could do if they were to adapt your type of mindset. And when you were doing that, did you guys do it from the get-go, or did you meld into this as you were fighting your way through it? Like the question was, what are a couple of things that you wish you'd known 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, we've kind of melded into it because we used to do a weekly meeting and we just said, this just isn't the most productive thing. And so we found that rather than doing a weekly meeting for an hour, just doing 10, 15 minutes each day kept us on the same page better. And then doing one monthly meeting where we can kind of celebrate the past month and plan the forward month,
That's awesome. I mean, that is awesome stuff. Anything else that you wish you had known 5, 10 years ago?
I'm losing.
You there? You hanging with me still, Justin? Yo, buddy. Justin, you still with me, man? If you can hear me, click back in on this thing. Sorry, guys, we're having a little bit of technology issues. As you well know, technology can be a friend and it cannot be a friend. Let's see. Yeah, we're still broadcasting, though. So, you know what? One of the things, guys, that as we wait for Justin to come back on, I want to talk about just in regards to what you don't know and, wish you had known in the past when it comes to real estate. Go educate yourself. There's so many amazing places to go and really start learning more about the business. I know for myself, I go into Pinterest quite a bit, and I pull a lot of social media, a lot of marketing ideas from Pinterest. I also go to what was the name of that site? As you guys know, I'm always getting more and more sites out here. Quora, QUORA.com. It's a place where you can literally go and ask literally any question about anything, and you'll get multiple different types of answers. Justin, you back with us? I don't know where he went, guys. Oh, and there he just dropped off. We'll see if we can get him back here. But if you go to that site and you have the Justin, you back in? Oh, well, he's getting back to us, guys. But you go to that site and you can go enter in any question, and then you can, one, obviously use it for your own knowledge, but also you can use it for blog posts, video posts, Facebook Lives, anything like that. It's the educational part that I really want to hound on. And all of you guys that watch our podcast, you know that Matt and I are avid proponents in regards to education. That's why we do this stuff. We want to make sure we give the most possible content to you at 100% free at the biggest velocity possible, so that we want to make it so you guys are drinking through a fire hose instead of a faucet. So at the end of the day, you have to go back and watch this again, and just so you can get all the rest of the nuggets. That's one thing I wish I had done when I was younger in the business, because what happened for me is the fact that I just thought I knew everything. And well, good Lord, we all know that's not the freaking honest truth, because there's a lot of shit that I never even thought that I would ever need to know. Some other stuff, guys, is reading. Go out and read. I mean, get your hands on a book, on a podcast besides ours. Well, you can stay on ours. I like it when you guys are on ours. And it looks like Justin's gonna be back with us. He's gonna be live in action here in a second. But find out a subject matter and then go deep on that subject matter, and never stop ever educating yourself. Justin, you're back in action, buddy.
Back. I don't know what happened. Our internet went out. So
yeah, it does that, man. I'll tell you one thing. So, well, in your absence, I was just talking about some of the things that I did in my past, some of the things I was, not very good at, and things that I, wish I had known 5, 10 years ago. I think you were about ready to jump into something else for us.
Let me think.
Actually, you know what? Give me advice. What would you advise someone that's getting into the business? Just straight up, because then we can kind of tackle 2 birds with 1 stone. You can kind of speak to your younger self, essentially.
Right. I would say kind of get clear on what you want to do, where you want to be. You asked the question earlier, should I join a team? Should I stay a solo agent? I mean, I think part of that is, the answer to that is, where do you want to be? Do you want to grow your own team? Do you want to be on a team? Do you want to, what kind of quality of life do you want to have? Because all those things play into it. I do think a team is a great place for as a buyer's agent, something like that's a great place for a new agent to start. I really do. They get if they're on a good team where somebody's really going to pour into them and give them the training that they're looking for.
And that's the most important thing. I completely agree with you. If I was going to look back into, to advise someone in the business, I know that you do as well. Identify your goals. Do you want to work with buyers or sellers? Do you want to be single or team? Do you want to sell land, or what kind of product do you want to sell? Do you want to work with investors?
Niches. Yeah,
your niches. And like Sarah from SoCal, she said she found her niche. She loves to sell land. I'm like, land? I did not see that one coming.
Yeah,
but she found her niche, and it's so important. I mean, for me, I'm the opposite of you. For me, sellers are a little bit more challenging for my personality type. I love buyers. I love helping them get into something. I love, getting out of the office and driving around and looking at properties. I love that part, right? That's my niche. I've been doing it for 16 years.
Yep.
And so a bunch of the properties up there are mine that I'm the lead agent on and that are listings. And sometimes it's a little bit testing of my nerves. And so I would say, tell people, and I want your opinion on this, tell people when they get into business, go work with a buyer, go work with a seller, tell me which one you like best, and then go and work with that type of client, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be honest, mine has kind of changed over the years. When I first got in the business, I loved working with buyers. I loved going out and seeing properties and going and, but that's a lot of evening work. It's a lot of Saturdays and Sundays work. It's a lot of, crazy hours.
And crazy clients.
Yeah, exactly. But, I enjoyed that part of it a lot when I first got in the business. But it's kind of shifted over the years. And now I enjoy working with sellers, but what I've really come to find that I enjoy more than anything is pouring into other agents and seeing them be successful and seeing them grow. And I just love seeing my buyer's agents be successful. So as I've grown as a person over the years and in the industry and just become more knowledgeable, and just as the business has grown, what I consider to be the fun parts of the business is kind of changing on me, So, I don't enjoy going out and showing properties like I used to as much. I enjoy now more so seeing the buyer's agents do it and be successful. And I enjoy working with the sellers, and because I feel like I've got the knowledge now that I didn't have when I first got in the business to really be able to advise and help those sellers in a way that when I first started, I couldn't, just because I didn't have the expertise.
Here's a question for you. And I completely agree with you. A lot of people then get in the business like, oh man, I'm going to go work with sellers. I'm like, that's really a pretty thought, but do you know what you're doing? No. Okay, get your happy ass over with a buyer. You can learn the market, you can learn the industry, you can learn everything, because the low-hanging fruit are the buyers. The buyers don't care about much of anything about you. I mean, as long as you're a breathing human being, you don't kick them in the shins and call their mama fat and ugly, most likely you're going to get that deal closed. But sellers are so much more attached to that property that you have to justify to them, why are you qualified, right? And if you're like, well, hello, today's my first day and I wanted to sell your house. No, leave.
Right.
That would be kind of something I would do. But most of the time, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, most of the time there are specific questions, right? And the questions that people should be asking, especially you or your buyers or something else, but they aren't asking them. What are a couple of questions that people should be they have to be asking these questions to get the answers that they want? What are a few of those
that sellers should be asking?
Should be asking that they're not.
I think for a seller, they need to know the volume and the level of expertise, and they need to know what the agents do. Does that agent sell 10 homes a year, or do they sell 100 homes a year? Because that's a completely different agent as far as expertise, knowledge, the whole 9 yards. So knowing what they're about, knowing a little bit about their systems, how do they function? If they're a solo agent, how do they juggle the 30 things that real estate agents have to do in a day? How do they juggle that, and how do they follow up with those buyers? Are they systematic about following up with buyers that inquire? It's crazy, but I hear that buyers will say, hey, I called the agent and they never called me back. And I'll be honest, it's easy to get busy, get sidetracked, and forget to call somebody back. And that's when you get to that level, that's when it's like, okay, I got to get some help because things are falling through the cracks and I'm losing business because things are falling through. But for a seller to hire an agent, they need to know that things aren't going to fall through the cracks, that they do have a systematic way of making it happen. So, that's part of just kind of asking, how do they run their business? What do they have? What systems do they have in place? And if they're solo, how are they juggling it all?
Yeah, do they have some sort of someone that's backing them up? I completely agree. I mean, when you go on listing appointments, let's turn the question around. What's one of the number one question that you get asked, minus commission questions? I mean, are they asking about do you ask them, or do they ask you about communications? Do they ask about time on the market? Do they ask about percentage under or over the listing price? Is that something you're seeing in your market?
They really don't ask those. I mean, those are questions that they should ask. And I've got a kind of a pre-listing packet I send out that has some of that information in it. Mm-hmm. So it kind of alleviates some of those questions, I guess, but I've never really had a seller ask those kind of questions. They may ask, have you sold any houses in my neighborhood? And maybe we have, maybe we haven't, depending on the neighborhood. And that doesn't always, if you're in a small little neighborhood over here, I may have sold 10 houses in the neighborhood next door. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't know how to sell one in yours, you know. So, but sometimes people will ask that question. You know, I don't.
You know, so let's go back. Let's do. I mean, let's say I'm a seller in a neighborhood you haven't sold too many in. What's a good comeback that you use that you've seen successful?
Well, I think just to, you know, I mean, if we haven't sold one in there, I'm sure we've shown houses in there. And, you know, if we've sold homes in that price range, you know, then we know how to market and sell yours as well. And if we're familiar with the neighborhood, it doesn't matter if we've sold one in there last year or not necessarily. So, but people look at that a lot. You know, I've gotten pretty good at, you know, when I sell houses in a particular area, we're sending direct mail to those subdivisions. Hey, we sold this one in 13 days. We sold this one in 23 days, sold this one in 2 days, whatever. Get a lot of callbacks from those postcards. Hey, you sold my neighbor's house. You know, you're an expert in the neighborhood. You know this market. You know this area. You know this side of town. So there is something to be said of that from a marketing standpoint. That it kind of works both ways, I guess.
Yeah, I think it does, and I know that you're also an expert in expired listings, right? That's one of your big kind of hot buttons.
That's what got me through the recession. Honestly, is expired listings.
Help me understand, you know, how did you start working with them? Would you recommend that for someone if they wanted to get into that, you know, that side of the business?
Well, in the market that we're in right now, there's not as many expired listings. You know, there are more for sale by owners, and those two seem to kind of flip flop. You know, in the down market, you got a lot of expires, not many for sale by owners because they know they need to hire the experts. In a market that's rising, you see more for sale by owners and not as many expireds because more of them are selling, and then the owners get cocky and say, hey, I don't need an agent. I can sell my own house. And so you see more for sale by owners, but you can kind of work them both. You work them differently, but if you're not working expireds, there's some for sale by owners to work. If you're not working for sale by owners, you can work expireds. And so, you know, during the downturn of, you know, 2008, 2009, 2010, and 11, it got tough. And I'll be honest, I thought about, do I stay in this business or do I get out? You know, and I mean, we were literally, my wife and I, dipping into savings to pay bills during that downturn. And so I said, I just did a lot of self-evaluation, a lot of prayer, and trying to figure out, you know, what is right. And I just kind of came to the conclusion that I love the business. I want to stay in it. I got to figure out how I can stay in it. And just started looking. And even though the market was in the dumps, homes were still selling. And I said, you know, there's enough homes selling that I can still make a living at this. I just got to figure out how to get more of them. And so I started doing more lead generation, online lead generation, and then also started doing coaching. Coach with Hoss Pratt, and his kind of forte is for sale by owners and expired listings. And so I, you know, started, he got recorded calls online, started listening to those, kind of trying to mimic those, and then kind of, you know, worked on down through his funnel and ended up coaching. I still coach with him now. I went through a time period that I didn't, but I'm back in his program. And so, you know, and we're on to other bigger and better things now, other than just for sale by owners and expires. But that is really one of the big pillars that got me through the recession, was calling. I mean, I would be spending time at night at the office, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, making outbound phone calls to expired listings, because that's when they were home from work, and saying, hey, why didn't your home sell? You know, do you still want to sell it? And going through and then going and showing them really what the market's doing, being honest with them, showing them with numbers and graphs and, you know, information, you know, educating them on, look, you know, it didn't sell at this price, and guess what? Next year, the market keeps going down. You're going to sell it for even less. So let's get it priced right. Let's get it sold if that's what you want to do. And some of them still wanted to sell, even if it meant selling for less. Some of them said, you know what? I don't want to sell anymore. I'll just rent it out. And some of those people we're listing homes for today, now that the market's back, and selling them, you know, because I keep them in a database and I stay in touch with them. So, you know, so even some of those that I may have been introduced to back in the recession said, hey, I need to rent for a few years. Now we're selling their houses.
Yeah, you know what, and that's the most important thing. You know what, you advise them on the proper way to do it. You weren't commission hungry. You were client minded. You even though you and your wife were dipping into your savings, you know, I think all of us got hit really hard. We all got really burned on that one. I know for myself, I mean, I went through a bankruptcy. I went through a foreclosure. I lost all my money down to $35. Had to claw my way back. And like you're like, how in the hell am I going to get through this freaking recession? More like a depression on steroids.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was a bitch, man. But I did prospecting. I just door knocked and cold calls. You hit the expired listings, you know what? And we all found our niches in there. And it can be, I think I'm a big advocate of getting some sort of, I'm a huge advocate of getting some sort of education. But when you stepped away from the coaching that you were doing with Haas, you know, what brought you back? Was it that you had the money to, or was it, did you see a dip in your business? What brought you back to the coaching?
No, well, what I did, I left his program to join what I thought was going to be a bigger and better coaching program. And so I've worked with a couple of other coaches between the times with Hoss. And I think for each person, anybody that's listening, if they're not involved in coaching, they can figure out a way to make it work. I do think it's effective, but there's a lot of coaches out there, and they all have different personalities. Mm-hmm. They all have different ways of thinking. They all have kind of different systems and different ideologies on how to get business. And so I think you got to figure out and find the one that you can connect with and the one that really speaks to you. And so after working with Hoss, it was great. And I was like, hey, some of these other guys are better and bigger, and I'm going to go work with them. And so I've done that. But at the end of the day, he and I just connect and we click and we work well together. But for somebody else, they may clash with him, but there may be another coach out there that they connect with. So I think everybody's personality is different. Everybody, you just got to find one that you can connect with that clicks with you.
Yeah, and I'm a huge proponent of the fact that when you find a coach, you find a mentor, you find something. And a mentor could be even an author, someone in a book. They don't have to be alive. I mean, if they click with you, like our show. I mean, a lot of people, it doesn't click with us because we're a little bit more on the edgier side. They want more traditional, but other folks, we're right in their wheelhouse. But I don't think that coaches should be for life. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. I think coaches are a seasonal thing in a lifespan, not a lifetime commitment, because at some point people are going to, outgrow me. And that's the best possible news I could ever hear. I mean, and if that never happens for a few folks, great. I'd be happy to keep bringing you content. But for you and Hoss, I mean, it sounds like you guys have a good mentor-mentee relationship. And he is out there, they're out there doing what they need to do to bring the value to you. I mean, right. But there's no problem with using a couple different mentors. I mean, would you agree?
Right. Yeah, I do. And I think as long as Hoss keeps growing, then I can continue to grow with him. But there is something to that. If your coach isn't growing as well, I think there is something to you. I think it is possible to outgrow your coach. And then you got to find somebody else that's at the next level or that has gone to that next level. So I do think you're absolutely right on that.
Good. Well, let's do this. Let's start packing this bad boy up here. Let me get some information. Where can people get a hold of you and talk to you and pick your brain if you have a few minutes and or send you a couple of those lovely things we call referrals?
Okay. Yeah. Probably the easiest and best way would be over email. If somebody wants to chat, shoot me an email and we can figure out a time. I do time block. I work on a schedule. But the email address is my name, Justin, Justin, @justinwoodall.com. And Woodall is Woodall. So Justin @justinwoodall.com is probably the best. And, you Google me, I'll come up, you'll find me, you'll find my website. You can reach out to me that way as well.
The good old Google.
That's it.
Hey, Justin, man, I'm really glad you came on. You guys, I know that you got a lot of value out of this. We just barely scraped the surface with this guy. Justin is an amazing agent. I mean, come on, guys. He's doing over 150 deals. Give me a break. Are you doing that many? If not, this man, you can obviously learn something from him. Reach out to him. I'm sure he'd make some time to chat with you all. But you know what? I want to thank you guys for watching the show as always. Again, you guys, if you have not done it yet, take the freaking McDaniel challenge. Get your butt off of your whatever you're sitting on. Make this thing right here. Yeah, this thing, it rings. I swear to God, it rings. This is my private cell phone. I'm going to give you the number again. And those of you who've seen the show, this number probably haunts your sleep. But dial these numbers, okay? In sequential order. 925-915-1978. Again, 925-915-1978. Guys, call me. Text me, get on the calendar, guys. I'm not kidding you. We're into the second week of May right now on bookings. It's not slowing down, it's speeding up. So if you want to get off the fence and actually go do it, make it happen. I had an opportunity to talk with Jay. I talked to Jose last night, amazing gentleman. And I have Andrew today, who was super awesome. And he was so giving, and I'm going to call him today. We're going to do a special session with him. But guys, hey, go find me on Facebook, friend me on Facebook. I'm doing live Facebooks every single day. So it's not the content you're going to get here on the show. It's additional content. So go there, subscribe to my channel. I do Facebook Lives on different topics every single day. And I want to make sure that you guys, we can become friends. You can get the additional data and you can really have a lot of fun. But Let's say, Justin, anything else before we cut this thing off?
I mean, we could keep talking for a long time, but I think we covered a good bit today. So.
Okay. Well, again, thanks for coming on our show. And you guys, Matt and I do this show because we truly love you guys. We want to see you grow and succeed. And if there's a guest that you guys think we should have on, or topics you think that we should talk about, please let us know. And also reach out to me on Facebook and take the challenge, guys. I love you. I cannot wait to see you. And we will be back with you guys on Monday with some more amazing guests. All righty. Well, you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure, bud. Bye.
All right.